Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well. Today I want to explain about a project. I wrote a loading test tools. These loading test tools just support the GET request right now, and in the future I'm going to add some feature to this project, especially support the post, patch, and update and other requests. So I will push this project to the GitHub, and after that you can access the project. Okay, let's see what do we have here, and I want to explain all of the structure of the project. So uh, because I didn't have enough complexity right now, so I decided to create simple structure for this application and this project. So in an internal, I have some structure. I want to explain a domain first. In the domain, I have four different structure: API config, counter, request, and status. In status shows the current API status. Let's explain all the fields. Total duration is the calculated time for all the requests. Mean time is for finding the fastest request. Max time is for finding the slowest request. Request counter is for counting the request we send to the server or that API. A total response size is size of the response body plus the header of the response, and the average time is calculating the average time for all the requests. Error count, if we don't get the response from the request, we are counting the error based on that error. And we are here just a new status, so we create a new status and return. Next one is request params. In request params, we have a URL method and header. URL from the user send, and the method is going to be get or post or something else. Right now we are here the get request, and we have a header to sending a specific header to that request, and we just create a request based on the inputs, and we return it as a pointer. And then we have a API config. In API config, we have a little bit complexity. We have a concurrent connection, a number of the worker we are going to start loading test, and duration is just that time for the run the request. For example, if we have a 5 second, we are going to send a 5 second request on the background and get the response of those requests. And the timeout is just we set the timeout for the request. Final status, we are going to return all status from those requests with the channel and show all of them to the user at the end. And the interrupt is just a set a field to get a signal from the user. If the user press Ctrl C, we are going to set the interrupt and exit the load testing params, and it's just as simple. And we set the URL method and header. I told you before about that, and we have a function to create a new API config base of these parameters. The next one is logger. Logger is just to show the result to the users. When we are going to send a 5 second or 10 second request, we just going to show some print status on the console, and to user wait for until the finish the request. And the next one is print result. In the print result, we are going to print result from the status and from the counter or the map to the user for show the result, for showing the fastest request, average the request, slowest request, total error, and total requested. And also we are going to print on the bottom for a status code from the response. The next one is port just is some repository to sending request and for run the request or print a status to the user. It are pretty simple. And the next one is a port just a repository to create a request and run against that API in the background. Then I have here a test package, so to write some tests against the project and structure and functionalities. For example, we write a stop signal test, and also we test a sync map from that counter, and also we has do some calculation for finding the max request time and finding the minimum request time here. I will explain to you in the project when we got there. Then we have a utils. We have some utilities in here, like create a HTTP client based on the protocol. So we use, for example, here fast HTTP. Then we have a header to calculate the header size, set a request header, and get request params. And in the request, we just do some comparison, like finding the max and minimum request time. And at the end, and it's important one, worker. All of the functionalities are going to work here. So sending and request and getting the response. Let's explain one by one. So first we have a repository or structure with some fields like API config, fast HTTP client, and a domain counter. And then we create a new request repository. Then we use this command to implement all repos, all functionality from the worker repo. We have an async HTTP. So here we create a new status object, and then we use create a start. We use this start to compare the how many seconds we are going to send a request. For example, if we want to send a 10-second request, so we need to define this field to compare that and interrupt the to finish the request. And then we have some per request. For example, if we have some methods and URLs and also headers, we are going to set that stuff to the API config and check the error. Then we are going to start with the for loop to send the request with the duration, and also we need to use atomic load, use atomic to check if the user set the interrupt signal. Then we are going to finish the request. Then we have here we get the params from the config, API config, then pass them to the run. Let's go to the run and see the functionalities. In the run, just we have a URL and methods. We start with some variables, request duration and response size. With the -1, we use the start the time now to calculate the duration of the request. We use a fast HTTP to send the request. We set a URL, methods, and also we set a response. And also after we define these prerequisites, we do the request or send the request and get a response. If we get the error, we are going to set a -1xx to set the error. After we return a response, we get a body, so we check the status code if a status code was okay or created, we are going to set a 2xx. That's mean all of the successful status are going to increment by 1. We calculate the response size, and at the end of the function, as you can see, we return the response size. Response size, I told you before on the structure of the response size, we calculate the body and size of the header. And for all the status code except 200, we don't calculate the response size. We just uh, calculate the status code for 300 and more, 400 and more, and 500 more. If we didn't get if we didn't get unknown request, we just use the 0xx and increment them by 1. Okay, that's the all of we do in the work I explained, and let's go back to the application. The structure of this project is based on the hexagon architecture. Because we don't have right now a queries be empty, and a command has one functionality that's sent to create a request. And in our application, we create an app interface, a command interface. If we have the query, so we create the query interface too. So we pass them to the app command, and we create a new and pass the worker repo to call can call the AP stores async HTTP. So that all of the structure about the application, and let's go to the command, and we have to some functionality here. So let's explain all of them too. At the top, we define some variable for getting the structure from the command line for number of the workers, or parallel. We are going to start the loading test, request URL, method, values, duration, second, timeout, and help. So we start with the flag and pass the variables to the flag. For dash C, we are going to get a number of the concurrent requests, and for dash M for request method, dash H for header values, dash U for URL, and dash D is going to be request for the duration of the request in second. By default is 5. And also we have a timeout with the dash TO. By default is going to be 2000 milliseconds. And we have help here. So we use the flag to create our command lines. Okay, in the next video, I'm going to talk about the main and run the project. Take care.